All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Callison, and I'm a part of the Behavioral Health Committee. Here is my lovely partner, AC, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, my name's AC. It's great to see everyone today. I'm also part of the Behavioral Health Committee, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Awesome. All right. So me and AC today, we're going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about or just list out what we're going to be discussing today. So first, we're going to answer the question and identify what is seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. We're going to identify what the symptoms are, and then we're going to list ways to combat seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. And then we're going to figure out or know when to seek further advice.
Cool. So before we move on to the presentation, we wanted to do a bit of a check-in question with you guys and ask, how have you been feeling during this fall or winter month? Have you been feeling sad or emotional, happy? This is just a better gauge, like our presentation and things of that sort. I can go ahead and wait a couple seconds while we wait for the responses to roll in. I know that me personally, I've just been having like my very sad days, my bad days where I feel like a couch potato or I feel like a little bit lazy. I don't necessarily have that much energy as opposed to like during summer, spring, I'm a little bit more lively. There's a little bit more going on. And of course, like with the pandemic happening as of right now, like it's a bit difficult to kind of be going out and getting that vitamin D, getting that sunlight. So I just want to know if anybody else feels the same way that I do. I can wait a couple of seconds. Cool. So Rayanne said sleepy. Me too, especially, if you're a student. Camille Bailon said lonely. Definitely feel that sometimes. Exactly. Samantha said lethargic and low energy. I feel that as well. I don't really have that much energy when it comes to the burr months. I know that I'm a little bit less energized or like sleepy of that sort. So I feel like we're all feeling the exact same way. Thank you guys so much for participating. We can go ahead and move on with the presentation.
All right, awesome. So thank you so much for answering, everyone. It was great to see like how everyone's doing and knowing that like we're not alone when we kind of feel like a little down or a little tired and a little sleepy. So now we're gonna go ahead and answer the question, what is seasonal affective disorder, or what is SAD? So seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression. Like I said, it's also known as SAD. It's a short period of time where people feel sad or do not feel like their usual selves. And I know what you're thinking, like how do we identify like feelings of sadness? So feelings of sadness, other words that identify or relate to the term sadness can be feeling unhappy, lonely, gloomy, hopelessness, disappointed. And, sometimes even like what you guys said, you might feel like really tired or just like really bummed out that it's no longer sunny outside and it's warm and we have to stay at home. So in other words, SAD can be described as mood changes that begin and end when the seasons change. So in other words, people start feeling down when the days get shorter in the fall and winter and feel better in the spring. So they feel down when, it gets colder, there's not a lot of sunlight, we have to stay at home. But then once spring comes around, when there's a lot more sunlight, the weather's better, we can go outside and do all of these outside activities, we do begin to feel better. So in some cases, mood changes can be more serious and affect how a person feels, thinks, or handles daily activities. So if you have noticed significant changes in your mood or behavior when the seasons change, you may have SAD. So in most cases, SAD symptoms start usually in the late fall or early winter, so kind of around this time, and go away during the spring and the summer. This pattern is known as the winter pattern SAD or winter depression. Some may experience depressive episodes during the spring and summer months. So this is called summer pattern SAD or summer depression, and it is less common. However, it still affects, people that we know. So now that we know what SAD is, let's go ahead and try and identify the symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. So like I said earlier, SAD is not considered a separate disorder, but it's a type of depression. So it's kind of like, it's essentially seasonal depression, but like with similar symptoms. On the right here, I have an infographic that lists the classic symptoms of SAD and then other not super common symptoms of SAD. So like I said, not every person with SAD will get to experience all symptoms. So you may have 1 or 2 symptoms, or you may have like 5 or 6 symptoms. So we're gonna go ahead and dive a little deeper into what these symptoms are specifically. So for winter pattern SAD or winter depression, additional specific symptoms may include oversleeping, overeating, particularly with carbs, so like pasta, a lot of bread, and that usually leads to weight gain, which is another symptom. And additionally, you might have feelings or activity of social withdrawal, so feeling like you want to hibernate, maybe you just want to like sleep all the time, or you just want to stay at home and you don't really want to interact with the outside world. Likewise, specific symptoms of summer pattern SAD or summer depression are kind of the opposite. They include trouble sleeping, which is also known as insomnia, poor appetite leading to weight loss, restlessness and agitation, feelings of anxiety, and sometimes even episodes of violent behavior. So now that we've identified what is SAD and we've identified some of the symptoms, you're thinking, okay, who can develop SAD? Like, am I prone to develop SAD? Is my family prone to develop SAD? So SAD is actually not uncommon. Millions of adults suffer from SAD, and it's more common than we actually like to think. Usually people in colder weather over sunnier weather tend to develop SAD more. Additionally, women more than men tend to develop SAD more. Likewise, SAD is more common in people with major depressive disorders or bipolar disorders, eating, anxiety, ADHD, and panic disorders. Additionally, SAD is more common in people who have relatives with other mental illnesses, such as major depression or schizophrenia. So now that we've answered the question, what is SAD, identified some of the symptoms, and have realized who can develop SAD, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic on to AC so she can list some ways to combat SAD.
Cool. Thank you so much, Julie. Okay, like she said, now that we have a little bit more of a background to go off of on what SAD is, we can go ahead and move on to the presentation to kind of figure out ways to combat seasonal affective disorder or SAD. If you guys have any questions during this presentation, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll go ahead and answer so I can better explain. Let's go ahead and move on. So the first step in combating SAD would be knowing the signs and symptoms. All of the things that Julie said before is accurate. In order to develop a plan of action, we need to realize that there is a problem. So listing all of the things that Julie had said before, to summarize it, just feeling sad or a little bit less energized during the winter is a pretty big sign of SAD. So acknowledging that and realizing that you have a problem, there we can develop a plan of action. Another thing is to exercise regularly. Regular exercise can ease symptoms of depression. Any type of exercise activates dopamine or the serotonin receptors in the brain, which is basically the feel-good chemicals. Moderate physical activity, such as walking, biking, any type of cardio can get your neurotransmitters going and really get those feel-good chemicals. Next is also to stay connected. Identify your support network. Who is around you that you can go to for your emotional support? Is it a friend? Is it a brother? Is it a sister? Research shows that those with a larger support network can make behavioral changes easier. So again, like who's around you, who you can talk to about your problems or how you're feeling. If you're feeling a little bit lethargic, less energized, low, and that way they can help you realize why you're feeling that way. Next thing is to make sure that we get enough light. When the body absorbs sunlight, it also absorbs vitamin D, which has a number of health benefits. It may be hard to get enough vitamin D in the winter since it is a little bit darker out, so taking a supplement during dark winter months may help overall mental health, but natural light can help alleviate symptoms of SAD. Next thing is light therapy. So now that it's getting a little bit darker, it's hard to kind of get that natural light and get that vitamin D. So having a light therapy box, which is an artificial light that mimics natural light, is a really great way to combat SAD. This SAD lamp helps regulate your circadian rhythms that get thrown off by days with shorter periods of light. So now that we went through daylight savings, the sun is like setting at earlier time. So using a light box can be very therapeutic. Try using the box first thing in the morning for the best effect. But this is a disclaimer, the light box doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So before trying, make sure to speak with a clinician or a therapist to see if the light therapy box is right for you. The next thing is to realize our unhealthy habits. So compulsive eating, not eating enough, drinking sugary foods, drinking wine, drinking alcohol, all of these can be unhealthy habits if not used properly. So realizing those habits, and then that way we can, again, develop a plan of action where we can either quit or kind of moderate how often we consume them. Another thing is journaling. I found that writing my thoughts and feelings down on a journal can kind of help me realize that I am going through something. And that way I can kind of reflect on how to better myself in that sense. It can help alleviate stress and maintain a healthy state of mind, and can help kind of reflect on the day ahead or the day before. Meditation can also help calm the mind and relieve anxious worries. Meditation brings awareness and a healthy sense of perception. It doesn't turn off thoughts or feelings, but we're trying to observe them without judgment. So meditating and taking a couple of minutes to yourself where you can kind of reflect on the day ahead and putting yourself in a calm state of mind can help alleviate symptoms of sad and kind of bring you in a better light for the day. Another new thing that I learned is aromatherapy. Adding a few drops of essential oils to your bath can help you relax at night. The essential oils can influence the area of the brain that's responsible for controlling moods and can also help with the body's internal clock that influences sleep and appetite, sometimes not getting enough sleep. And again, compulsive eating, as we said before, can help kind of bring about those symptoms of sad. So having aromatherapy or doing an aromatherapy at night can help alleviate those symptoms. Another thing is psychotherapy. It's also called talk therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy, can also help. So it can identify and change negative thoughts and behaviors that may make you feel worse. Through psychotherapy, you can also learn healthy ways to cope with SAD, especially with reducing avoidance behavior and scheduling activities. And through psychotherapy, you can also learn how to manage stress appropriately. And lastly, if none of the coping strategies are working, a counselor can be a great source of emotional help and can provide coping strategies to help with your condition. So one of the four main categories that we listed that'll help combat SAD would be the light therapy box, psychotherapy, and then medications provided by your doctor, and then again, getting natural light. Those are not all the coping strategies that we mentioned, but those are the four main categories. But there are a lot more that your clinician or your therapist can provide for you. So if you're feeling a little bit sad during these coming months, don't be afraid to talk to a healthcare provider and seek professional help, because that's perfectly normal as well.
Awesome. Thank you, AC, for listing out all of those amazing ways that we can combat SAD. So now we're going to just take a couple of minutes and do a quick Q&A. So go ahead if the audience has any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to comment them down below, and we are more than happy to answer any of those. Okay. So we have a question. It says, how can I know if my sadness is from not having sun or from lockdown during COVID? That's a really good question. Honestly, your sadness can be from a multitude of things, honestly, and whatever your sadness is from is totally valid. I would say getting sun is definitely hard because, we have to stay indoors a lot of the time. So if you feel like you're not getting enough sun, you can always go outside and wear a mask and, take a quick walk outside, and maybe that might help, alleviate anything. I know usually when we talk about not getting enough light or not getting enough sun, it usually means we're not getting enough vitamin D. So maybe if you're feeling sad because of the lack of sun, or just you're feeling sad from staying indoors, simple methods such as taking vitamin D gummies, or even just taking a quick walk outside every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes, can really help just clear the mind and allow you to self-reflect and really try and figure out, like, am I actually going through symptoms of SAD, or is this just a one-time thing, or is this just reoccurring? And like me and AC said, don't be afraid to go ahead and ask, your support group or your community, talk to a friend, talk to your parents, talk to a brother or sister, and even like, don't be afraid to go and talk to your healthcare provider as well, because there's many treatments and many ways to combat SAD that me and AC haven't listed, but your therapist or your health professional can provide. AC, would you like to add on to that, or do you think I covered it?
Yeah, she pretty much covered it. Just to go on, he said, how can I know if my sadness is from not having sun or from lockdown or COVID? It can be a combination of both. I know that me personally, I'm entirely not sure if sometimes when I'm feeling down, is it because I'm lacking vitamin D? Is it because I'm lacking natural light? Or is it because of the lockdown and me not being able to see my friends as often, things like that? It can be a bit confusing. So again, like, it's important to kind of seek professional help. Talk to your clinician, talk to your healthcare provider so that they can figure out exactly what's happening or why you're feeling that way. And then they can either provide you with medications or like other coping strategies that we may not have listed or may not be effective for you.
Agreed. All right. So I think we're going to end the Q&A right here. So thank you all for all of your questions. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. All right. Awesome. So first of all, we just want to thank everyone. Me and AC just want to thank everyone for watching our presentation, for participating throughout it and asking any of those questions. It was really nice being able to discuss what SAD is and list the ways that we can combat it, especially as a community. AC, do you have any last words?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our presentation.